Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen and another episode of Stuff in Our Pantry. Restrictions here sort of mid-May are starting to be released. So we've got a little bit more freedom, stores are starting to open up, and the grocery store is pretty much back to normal other than you have to wait in line and they only let so many people inside at any one given time. So pretty much everything is available to us, but we're still not going out very often, and we're still, only going once to the grocery store every week and a half or so. So we're still sort of planning ahead and planning ahead and planning ahead. And today's soup is part of that planning ahead. Starts out with an onion in a pot and some olive oil, and I just want to, I don't want to get any real color on this onion, I just want to get it to the point where it's translucent. So this is a riff on a vegan squash and lentil soup that we do elsewhere on the channel. Julie and I make it quite a bit. It's really nice, it's simple, it's flavored mostly with cumin. But every once in a while I like to change it up a little bit, and I like to put chicken in, and instead of cumin I like to put in ras el hanout. So that's what I'm doing today. Now this is frozen butternut squash that we would have put away last fall from our own garden. So this is the end of the butternut squash. I'm going to put that in. And I think I'm going to put in both bins. I like a lot of squash in this soup. And because this squash has been frozen, it will break down quite a bit as it cooks. The chunks won't stay fully chunky. Next into the mix is some ras el hanout, and this is our homemade ras el hanout spice mix. You can find that recipe elsewhere on the channel. I'm going to start with that much. Stir it in. Just smells amazing. It's one of those spice mixes that I absolutely love. Next is some tomato paste. And we want to fry this tomato paste until it almost starts to caramelize, which in this case is going to be kind of difficult because there is a lot of water coming out of that squash. So do the best you can, but you really want to cook that tomato paste a little bit before you add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, next in is some chopped chicken thighs. So I've taken chicken thighs, pulled off the skin, taken out the bone, and chopped them up into bite-sized pieces. I kept the skin and the bones for stock that I'll make later. I just stick those in a container in the freezer and keep them. So I'm just going to stick this in the chicken and stir it around to start the cooking process. It really isn't going to cook too much until we get the stock into the pot. So, last couple of items. Of course, some salt and some hot pepper flakes. I've got a can of lentils that are drained and rinsed before I put them in. Last ingredient is stock. Now, of course, because there's chicken in here, you would want to put chicken stock in. That would be top of the list. I don't have chicken stock today. I have vegetable stock that we made yesterday. So, I'm going to use vegetable stock. Pretty much use what you have, and if you don't have stock, water would be just fine. Or when you start out this recipe and you skin and debone the chicken thighs, put the skin and the bones in a pot with the water that you're going to use in this recipe right away. Bring that up to a simmer and simmer that while you're making the rest of the stuff, or simmer it for about a half an hour before you start the rest of the soup. And you're going to get a fairly flavorful broth in that short amount of time to use in this soup. Stock doesn't have to be really difficult. I know that I've done some fairly extravagant ones on the show, especially that vegetable one, which is absolutely amazing, but it doesn't have to be that extravagant. So I'm going to bring this up to a simmer. I'm going to put the lid on sort of part way, and I'm going to let this go for half an hour to 45 minutes, just until the chicken is cooked through. Okay, I'm just going to finish this with a little bit of vinegar. Now, if you had lemon juice, you could squeeze some in. You just want a little bit of acid at the end, just to brighten all the flavors.
Smells good.
Smells pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. So we'll just stir that in and serve it up. Okay, serve it up.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Of course, as always,
It's hot.
it's hot.
I could have put maybe a little bit more ras el hanout in. And that's something that you can play with at the end. As long as it's cooked most of the way with a large amount of spice, you can tailor it right at the end. And
But that gives such a nice, sweet kind of
brightens all the flavors.
joy.
doesn't it? Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say a little piece of joy in it. It's like this little sweet
So
surprise to the whole
This
thing.
is ice cider vinegar. So it's made in Quebec, they let the fruits, the apples, freeze on the tree, which drives off most of the moisture, or actually traps most of the moisture, so that when they crush them, you get a really concentrated juice. They make that into cider, and then they make it into vinegar, and it's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. This is like all soups.
This is
What have you got?
what's in your cupboard.
Toss it in.
Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.